It's time for the Red Raider Preview Show. This week, the stakes couldn't be higher. It's the River City Rumble. Your Red Raiders go head-to-head with their crosstown rivals, the Austin Black Bears. Pride, tradition, and bragging rights are on the line in one of the biggest games of the season. Join Brent Collins, John Godwin, and head coach John Ritter as they break down the matchup with Austin High. They will also discuss the game last week against Buckhorn and get Coach Ritter's take on the rest of the season and get you ready for Friday night under the lights. Now on to the Red Raider Preview Show. And never forget that every day is a great day to be a Red Raider.
It's a great day to be a Red Raider. Our colors red and black, we pave the way. Every step, every game, we're here to stay. In Decatur, high we shout, hooray.
Welcome to the Red Raider Preview Show with Coach John Ritter. Second week, Coach. But before we get into this, we're going to talk. Brent's going to talk a little bit about the way we're streaming and how we're doing that. And
yeah, I think Coach Ritter will probably add a lot of details to that. But I mean, the kids have been using, and the coaching staff's been using Huddle for their game tape for several years, probably 5 or maybe even longer. So it's going to allow us some additional broadcasting opportunities. It may be easier for us to get on, hopefully, the broadcast. So it may be better for us streaming wise.
But what you're talking about is we're going to change from the way we're doing it on YouTube now. We're going to change from YouTube to Huddle.
Yes, and we're still going to provide a link that it will allow people to follow a link that will go to the broadcast, but that broadcast would be available on demand as soon as the game is over, much like it's been at YouTube. Currently, what we did with YouTube this past week is we took the game down around noon on Saturday, and part of the reason why we do that is because we don't want everybody on there to go watch our opposition and go on there and have free reign of our video.
Yeah, and really the only difference between what's being done, so it'll be Huddle Fan, HUDL fan, and it's set up just like a pay-per-view for Alabama and Hawaii, or Alabama and or Auburn and Alabama A&M, the same platform. It will still be live streamed, but it offers an opportunity for a lot of things. Number one, it gives us some technology that we don't have access to right now. There's a group called Production Truck that we get access to that allows Tim and Joe and those guys are the tech guys. Well, y'all are they're the brains behind the operation. It allows them some tools to make the broadcast even better. From a technology side. And B, it also offers an opportunity for financially, it'll be set up $5 a game, $6 a game, $7 a game, something like that, where people do have to watch or pay to watch. We're living in a time where we don't ask our kids to do a lot of fundraisers, just because, kids selling things in 2025 is kind of fading out.
Well, you'd rather be in the weight room anyway, right?
Yeah.
Spend time doing.
We're getting what we need out of them from their dedication and effort. But at the end of the day, a helmet still costs $400. A pair of new shoulder pads is $250.
Most people don't realize what that costs.
No, and when you have 103 and they're all in a flex helmet, so 103 times 400, you can do the math. That's on helmets alone. Helmets only last so long. The warranty used to be 10 years. Now it's 5 years. So if a helmet gets cracked, then if it's less than 5 years old, it's replaced. If it's 5 years and 1 day, that's another $400. We have to get them reserviced every 2 years, which I do it every year on guys that play, so that we make sure that we're putting, brand top of the line, I guess, equipment
Right.
That's been, that's safety for the kids. So Huddle Fan allows us to do a lot of different things. This week against Austin, we're going to still use YouTube, just like you guys have for years, and kind of in the transition phase of going to Huddle Fan. And like I said, it's going to be great for our fan base that watches the games. Now they can also download the games a lot easier than you can from YouTube. And also it's going to offer us an opportunity to, not make much because we pour it right back into the broadcast. I think people don't understand that, we help with cameras, we help with travel, we help with all that stuff. And, that comes out of the football budget as well.
So the bottom line is we're going to go from YouTube, which is a free service, to Huddle, which is going to be a paid service. So there's going to be instead of buying a $10 ticket to come here, you're going to buy $5, $7, $10 to watch it. That's what we're going to do. And the reason for that is, like Coach said, it's for the kids. Everything goes back to the kids, whether it's in the broadcast to show the public what the kids are doing, to buying uniforms, to reconditioning helmets, all kind of different things. So every penny that you put into this to watching it goes back into the kids. And there's not anything that we could spend our money better on than the kids.
When the biggest thing, we want it to be user friendly, right? So
Right.
we're going to spend the next couple of weeks trying to roll this out where it doesn't become an issue with the people that listen. I call them our VIP fans. I appreciate getting the text on the sidelines and hearing somebody in Auburn or somebody in Oklahoma, complain. Well, no, they're helping us get better, right? Okay.
That's right.
So appreciate that, and appreciate your being patient with us while we get there. So,
All right, Coach. Let's talk about the Buckhorn game. Give us some recap to what you saw, what you didn't see. Those types of things on closing Buckhorn out.
Well, I thought, if we kind of dissect the two sides offensively, a lot of missed opportunities and inconsistencies. We had quite a few missed assignments. And I think we showed flashes of when we do what we're supposed to do, we've got some skill. We were up front. I thought that we were a little bit overmatched, and that was something that we were afraid of with number 1, the Harrell kid who committed to Rice that week, and number 0, the Carr kid who's got a Michigan offer. Those two wreaked havoc all night long, and we had trouble blocking them. But I felt like we got the ball in space enough to be successful. It was just inconsistencies. And the frustrating piece offensively was it was somebody different every snap. Yeah. It was never the same guy 2 plays in a row. So it's not like, oh, we'll take him out.
That might be good, but still might be a little bad.
Yeah, that is good because we did show flashes. Defensively, it was kind of the tale of two halves. When we do what we're supposed to do, we gave up 3 points.
Right.
But kind of defending the defense a little bit. They had the ball inside the 10, starting 2 drives, and we gave up 10 points on those 2 drives. So, the positive out of all of that is I thought we played extremely hard. I thought we did some really great things in all 3 phases. I think we're much improved. If you watch the game from start to finish, we look different. We played different. The thing that I think that we're stuck on right now in year 2 is the mental side of it. We talked yesterday. We have changed their body. We look different.
Yes.
We have changed the way we play football. We're more skilled. And when I say we, I'm talking about the kids, the coaches, everybody. It's a group effort. What we've got to change is our approach mentally. I can't change that. That's a kid thing. Because I told him, I said, look, I love you. I love being at Decatur. But if I knew how to get inside your mind and change the fact that we have a winning attitude, we have a winning mindset, no matter what happens, we're going to go out and we're going to approach each play like we're going to dominate that play, then I wouldn't be at Decatur. I'd be traveling the world and I'd be a billionaire because I'd be working with every athlete in college, pros, everything. So that's something that we've got to change, and that's an internal thing that our kids have to do. Obviously we're going to help with that because that's our job, but we have to decide as a unit of 15, 16, 17, or 18-year-old kids that we're going to be successful no matter what.
I think there was a couple of times during the game, personally, when I looked out there, it was like we had an opportunity, we didn't capitalize on the opportunity, and it just seems like our demeanor just kind of got down on ourselves. And, those are the type of things you're talking about.
Yeah.
We need to get back in the huddle and say, hey, we didn't do it. We're going to do it the next time. We're going to do it the next time.
Well, we score the second play of the game, and then we have a typhoon on extra point field goal. And then we go out, and all the momentum that we've got has now been reduced. Right. And then the next kickoff, we get out of our lanes, we don't do our job, and we give up a kickoff return to the 5. So it's kind of not, we can't win for losing. We can't get out of our own way sometimes. Let's allow something good to happen, and let's stack good things on top of each other. And that's really the mental that I'm talking about, is we got to stack good things on top of each other. Second half, we get 3 and out. Then we go 3 and out. We get another 3 and out. We got to go down. We got to get a 3 and out and then go score. Well, we do that. Now it's 24-12. We get a 3 and out. We go down. We get inside the 5. We can't score. If it's 24-18, if it's 24-20 with 6 minutes to go, that's a totally different ball game. But
it was right there. It was right there to take.
Right we just didn't take it. We got to grab it.
Talking to you at halftime, and you had mapped it out in the interview question. You had mapped it out how we win the game, and it's 27-24, right? I mean, and even down to 3 minutes left in the game, we had a shot if we could have stuck it in. You cleared it up at the end of the game about the pass interference call, but that was a new one to me, and a lot of our listeners didn't really understand that. But that's advantage to defense, right?
Yeah. So 3 years ago, pass interference used to be automatic first down, no matter where it was on the field. And what they, I guess, concluded is, if it's 3rd and 50 and you get a pass interference, that's not fair. And I get that. There needs to be a caveat when you're tackling them in the end zone 3 plays in a row, that's a first down, similar like it is in college. But that's a good job by them, because I felt like.
You really think they thought about that?
I yes and no, because if you noticed, we had them beat 2 or 3 times in midfield, and they just grabbed us.
Well, if the Athletic Association listens to this broadcast, what I would say to them, at least put it on the 1 yard line. I mean, maybe it's not a first down, but don't be half the distance of the goal. If it's in the end zone, you got to put it at the 1 yard line.
Yeah, and that goes back on us too. We gotta find a way to punch it in. Whether we had 4 downs, we really had 6. We threw it 3 and we ran it 3. We got to find a way to get it in the end zone and run it, whether it's running, whether it's making a play. I like the last play that we called. We had Quaylen, stacked on top of a guy and just underthrown it a little bit. And here again, a lot of first. We had a lot of first-time players. Quaylen's was his first time to play every snap on offense. And then he had to flip over and play defense too when we had an injury to Tyshawn. And, Cortez, same thing, his first time. Carrington Bell did some great things. Grady Graham did some great things in the past game. Here again, that was really their first time to be, I guess, focal points in our offense. But it goes back to, we got to be able to run the football, and we didn't run it effectively. And that's not rushing for 400 yards, but we can't rush for 15 either.
Brent, who's coming to town?
Oh man, where are we sitting? We're sitting on the D, and that was strategic. You know why it was strategic, John? I don't know if you remember this, John.
For 4 years, they both played here, so there could be nothing in the middle of the field.
And when it finally did get something before they had their own stadium, actually, yours truly, John Godwin, would paint the D on the field when we got in the playoffs. That's the first time the D could be at Oval Stadium, right?
Yes.
And did you come out and map it out, get strings?
Yeah,
you had a radius?
What I did was string and nails.
String and nails.
String and nails.
And spray paint.
And spray paint, right.
Impressive.
And but now it's forever here, and it's on the turf. But don't know if you were able to watch the broadcast, but we were able to get, I know you reconnected with Mark 20 a little bit through the 1993 reunion that we had. We had him up in the press box talking about that reunion, about 1993, about the game. The big game is what they coined it. Both Austin, Decatur come into that game 9-0. We talked about the stadium being filled, we walked through basically a tunnel of people when we came up to pregame, and it's crazy to think that's been 32 years ago. Is that about right? 32 years.
Yeah, you look like
I look like it. How are those logs flowing today? So, anyway, what does this rivalry mean for you in your second year?
I think it's a special game, and I had the opportunity to be on both sides of Russellville and Deschler. Had to be played in Lauderdale County versus Lexington. Was at Athens for the Athens Decatur, Athens Hartselle. Now to be year 2 here, it's a different feel, and I guess it's because of the, inner city rivalry deal, 2 very good programs, traditionally, Austin obviously has had a run under Coach Perkins, which has been unmatched in Austin's history, and, phenomenal job that he does. And, even last year when we were, really overmatched, our kids, we still played hard. And it was a great environment, from the student section to the band to the whole 9 yards. Was just, it kind of gives you chills. And I expect nothing less this time around, and it being at Ogle. And here again, Austin's a really good football team. Coach Perkins and his staff do a really good job. I think we're better, and so hopefully if everybody does their part, it's going to be a great game that would be nice for Decatur to come out on top and add to the notches in the belt.
So how do we protect this D Friday night?
I think we have to have all the things that we preached last week. Offensively, we have to have no turnovers. We have to take care of the football. We have to be efficient on third down, and we really have to limit our mistakes. And, you have to do that against anybody, but you really have to do it against a good team. In defensive, it's the same way. We got to get a line. We got to put our face on people. And when we do that, I think we have an opportunity to be successful. And I think, the flashes that we had last week, A, show that we're better, but B, shows that when we do our job, we've got some guys that can make plays. And, that's going to be the keys every week, especially these first 5. We better limit turnovers. We got to find a way to generate some turnovers too. And that was one, I guess, disappointment defensively, even with all the 3 and outs that we got in the second half. We didn't create any turnovers. We dropped 2 interceptions. We missed out on a fumble or 2, but we got to find a way to steal a possession each half.
So is there a buzz in the locker room because of this week with the guys going up against, and in a lot of cases, they're friends. Some guys maybe they hang out with on the weekends.
Yeah, I'll say this. Friday night after the Buckhorn game, I think we realized the missed opportunities in really all 3 phases, kicking game 2. Talking to them after the game, and then interacting with them as they were getting dressed and, leaving and all that stuff. It was just a different sense of where we are, and that really flows into the mental side of it that we talked about Monday with our kids. And we had a really hard film session. There was a lot of mistakes pointed out, and I told them before we started, we're not here to make you feel good, but we're not here to hurt your feelings. But if we're ever stop being critical, then we're not coaching you.
It's constructive criticism, right? We're here to get better.
We'll tell you how great you are at the banquet at the end of the year. The 10 weeks or 10 games that we're together, the 15 weeks in the season, we're going to point out your mistakes because we want to pull the greatness out of you. So I think we responded well. Yesterday was a good practice. Obviously, we went and played a JV game at Buckhorn, and played really well in it.
I meant to ask, you mentioned that. I noticed a lot of upperclassmen that played on Friday night went to go support those guys, okay? And so what does, like you said, we came out with a victory, 21-6, I believe. Kicked a PAT in that game.
We sure did.
Yeah. So how can that trickle into some confidence toward your upperclassmen that are going to be putting the work in Friday night? Yeah,
I think it boils down to doing a job. Defensively in that JV game, we did what we were supposed to do. we actually gave up no points. They had a pick six first drive of offense, which led to their only score. You know, I think it's a situation where winning breeds winning and losing breeds losing. You know, it has to be we have to convince ourselves that we can win, you know, and that's the mental side. You know, when things go wrong, nothing changes. You know, we don't start pressing. We don't start, you know, thinking, oh, well, let's keep it close. It's, you know, how do we find a way to get down 6? How do we find a way to tie it up? How do we find a way to go up 3 or go up 6 or go up 8? You know, and that's making plays. And, you know, A, we've got to put ourselves, coaches, in an opportunity to make those plays. And B, when we get a chance as a kid, we got to make it.
So the rivalry that you look forward to from a college perspective, what I mean, Alabama Auburn's the easy one, but is there one that comes to your mind that would rival the Austin Decatur?
Oh Lord, that's tough. As a student at Alabama, and then, you know, going back, I guess 2 years later or the next year, Alabama LSU is that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
You know,
Because all y'all are drunk.
who is y'all?
Both of you.
Hey,
Isn't that right?
speaking of the rivalries, I'm glad SEC's made the commitment to go to 9 games
That's
where they
good.
can maintain rivalries like Auburn, Georgia. Right, there was talk about that going away.
Oh, I kind of like that. He's true.
Auburn, Alabama. I think Auburn has got the worst pick of that, but they're trying to throw the cupcake Vanderbilt, which they hadn't been a cupcake last
No,
3 years.
yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to, those rivalries that can sustain.
Well, I mean, and that's what makes high school fun. I mean, college is college, you know, and it's becoming its own animal. But, you know, the Austin Decatur, the Hartselle Decatur, the Athens Decatur, that's what makes playing high school football fun. You know, the coach answer is anytime you turn on the scoreboard, you ought to compete. And that is true, you know, but playing those rivals just adds, I guess, another level of intensity. It should add another level of focus, you know, and plus, I mean, you know, it's 365 days of bragging rights inside the city. I mean, you know, there's people on both sides that are young and old that want that.
Well, you know, I tell you what, too, Coach, it's going to more than likely be different next year, even more so if they bring down Austin to where they say they're coming down to 6A to where it becomes a region game.
Oh, absolutely. That's another level.
That brings it up another level. Okay, so mystery question. It's not really much of a mystery question, but you see our two vote signs.
You did your civic duty.
Did
John.
civic duty. What do you tell your players? What would you tell them about the importance of voting as a duty as a citizen? Have you ever talked? That's something you talk to them.
I mean, y'all normally ask silly questions.
Have to prepare for that.
You know, I'm a social science major, so I taught civics and geography for my first 4 years at Muscle Shoals. That's your civic duty to let your voice be heard. You know, the biggest thing for me is I don't like complainers. You know, and then what did you do to fix it? Well, nothing. So did you vote? No. Did you get out and start a program? No. Did you get out and do this? No. You know, so that's your way of A, participating in democracy, and B, it's your way of having a voice and I guess putting yourself into action so that if you go and complain, at least you voted. You know, don't sit back on the sidelines and do nothing and complain.
And it starts early. I'm telling Max, you know, he's going to be able to vote next year. And I don't know if we've got an election cycle, but it's his responsibility. He's got, like you're talking about with your kids, of understanding the opportunity and taking advantage of it, getting up off your butt and going and doing something. That's just like making that tackle is putting that vote. Everybody's doing that vote in. Well,
I'd be remiss to say about your speech last week in the breakfast. We got to.
That was good. John, that was impressive.
I didn't. No, you don't want to talk about yourself, but you talk about being prepared, and I didn't give you but 10 minutes to prepare. I think it's something that you've been preparing your entire life and what you spoke about. So,
well, I appreciate that, but it's, you got to be, you don't know when your number's going to be called, and you got to be prepared for that. So, right.
That's exactly right.
All right. So, Tim, I imagine we've gone over our 30 minutes. No? Okay.
one thing I will add to,
Here you gonna add
yeah, I'm going to add something else.
Okay.
Friday night, I've always said this with Coach John Ritter. He makes it a family affair. Okay. Lillian was out on the sideline with the water bottles. Now, there were a few times you had, hey, we need water. Not to Lillian, I mean, to the whole group, but she did.
Them older girls were slacking.
They weren't they?
Fifth grader was setting the pace. I was proud of her.
And so she was out there, man, and she was so proud to represent the sports medicine team. Maybe that's something in her future. I don't know. But and then Lincoln, man, he was leading the charge at the ball boy. So I
We're
know
going to get another national anthem.
I don't know. Y'all have to
Lauren
coordinate that.
she got some time off by them being out there.
She got to sit and watch the game first time in I guess 11 years.
Well,
10 years.
That was the best part of that.
It was, and that's one thing I remember growing up as a kid. And my sister, I had a sister 5 years younger than I was. So when I was in, I guess fifth or sixth grade, the last time I was really a ball boy, her being on the sideline, and then really she kind of had her time after I was already playing and had graduated. But yeah, to look over there and see, Lincoln running balls and Lillian, being a sports med girl. I mean, that was really awesome, and that was, I mean, my players are my kids too. I treat them like my kids, and to have my real kids and my 103 adopted kids all together that's pretty special.
Well, that was something. And then Tim, you got some homework, because Lillian said to me, and I've got my emoji from last year. It's at my office. If you come to the Core Construction Group on West Bolton Street, you find my emoji sitting in my. Lillian wants an emoji.
She's mad.
You got to do her with a sports medicine, and then Lincoln with his ball boy outfit. You got to do that. So that's your homework for the week.
Yeah, they're jealous that me and Lauren have one and they don't.
Well, it sounds like they might have one soon. So,
Well, all right. Well, you've been listening and watching the Red Raider preview show with Coach John Ritter. This is Tuesday? So we got a couple of days before we get back up in that press box, but we're going to go out and beat the Black Bears, because it is a great day to be a Red Raider.